just my coffee.
Oh, jeez, you fucking demanding.
No.
Just kidding. I'm pushing the button and then I'll get your coffee.
Okay. Oh my.
Yeah. Catch up here. Hi, Mrs. Ryan. There we go.
Hello.
Bring it all back. I'm already worn out. I'm working hard today.
I know, you've been busy.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Oh God darn it. Every week about this time we say we need to get better at this job, and this is when we are going to do it. Today's the day, Mrs. Ryan. I can feel it. Today's the day. Today's the day we get good at this. It'll be magic overnight. Okay.
Yes.
Welcome back. Welcome back to everybody else. Welcome back to the Late Night Playset. Today is Tuesday, January 28th, 2020. We're almost out of the first month of this 2020, which means we're really rolling. Our guest is somebody we are both very, very excited about tonight. We say excited all the time. I think we might actually be excited this time.
Totally.
Don't know if I'm nervous. Don't know if I'm out of breath from all the talking and stuff before, or if it's from the running around that we just did right before the show. But our guest is Rodney Rothman. He is a producer. He is a writer. He's a director, as a matter of fact. Used to work on The Late Show. He produced Sarah Marshall with you. That's how you first met him, right?
Correct.
He has written and directed one of the Spider-Man movies. He's a big deal. So he'll be in here in a few minutes.
And he's married to someone I went to college with who we've had on the show.
Yeah. Thank you.
I just wanted to say that because I love her.
I remembered the fact that they were married. I couldn't remember that you guys had worked together at a coffee shop in college.
Yeah, Pri and I poured coffee together, Cava Java.
Where do we start, Mrs. Ryan? Let's see. The weekend. It was a great weekend, except for some interesting news. Well, we had our Breakfast Club on Friday. Oh, gosh, great turnout at Breakfast Club. Thank you to everybody who came out. It was a lot of fun. Really good group. And then Saturday we had something that was a lot of fun. Oh, Pelican Parts. Also really fun.
Early
very,
morning.
very crowded, very early, and we got to buy some chairs or something because that doesn't work for us anymore.
Big space.
But gosh, huge turnout, and thanks to everybody who stopped to say hello to us when they did see us and stuff. Okay. Sunday, we woke up early and we decided energetically, let's just take a day to restore. Let's not go to Malibu Kitchen, which is what we normally do. We were actually going to go by the new Los Angeles Cars and Coffee new location in Griffith Park at the Ferris wheel. It's not the Ferris wheel, the carousel. And then we were going to do the Peterson Auto Museum and then make our way to Malibu. So we just decided, that was a whole bunch. Let's just bag it and restore some energy. Cut to a couple hours later, the same road that we would have been driving at the same time. The news came in, of course, about Los Angeles hero Kobe Bryant. And sadly, his daughter as well as 7 other souls on a helicopter passed away right out there in Calabasas.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was, the weather was nuts. It was one of our deciding factors of not going. It was like, oh, what a nice day to stay in. And gosh, it's so sad. I don't know anything about sports ball, as people from this show know. However, I did have the opportunity to spend the day with Kobe Bryant once. This was, about 10 years ago, I guess, maybe even a little bit more. And the story here is I got a phone call from Nike. I used to own this car at the time, and they wanted to drive a high-profile basketball celebrity for a new sneaker launch, and they wanted the Back to the Future car. And I was like, okay, well, what could this possibly be? I think we know what it is, obviously. And so we confirmed with them, and we put the whole deal together and whatever, and ended up spending a lovely time with Kobe Bryant. And obviously all this time in the car was just the two of us from location to location. So we spent a lot of time together. And I remember very specifically one of my favorite things from that day was, we're in the middle of a conversation in this tiny little cramped time. Imagine Back to the Future 2 when they're having, Marty, your daughter, whatever, the whole thing. I made that line up. It never occurred. But he was, people are honking all the time and waving like crazy, like nuts. Anytime I drove this car around, it was like that. And, I just gave it away. Learn to tell a story. All right, I'll work on it. He said, sorry, man, I get this all the time. Like it was a fucking nuisance for me. Or I said, started laughing. No offense, man. Like, I don't think they can even see you. I get this all the time. And he started laughing so hard because he realized it was probably true in the whole bit, and he just thought it was great. And then he realized how invisible he was to the outside world, and he started to enjoy the trip, and he started to relax a little bit, and then we started talking about Philadelphia and where he was from, and he wanted me to build him a Batmobile, and it was all this crazy cool stuff.
I bet he loved that.
I think he liked that I wasn't a basketball fan. We could just talk. I didn't know him other than just being the tall guy in the car.
Everything about it, like in a big, famous public vehicle, but really private. You guys got to talk. It's very cool.
Yeah, it was fun. So R.I.P. to Kobe. Man, that's a crazy one. I know L.A. is bleeding purple.
Yeah, they're rescheduling the Lakers-Clippers game because of it.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Everyone is thinking about it.
All right, so that's my brush with greatness there with Kobe. Mrs. Ryan, let's move the show on. I've got an East Coast feed to do. Let's go rolling right into that. Right. Check in. Every chive. I'm not sure where the Casman is today. I think we're at home with Coraline. Roll it out.
Hey, Monkey. Say hi to Jay and Nicole.
Hi, Jay, Nicole.
Is it East Coast feed?
It's called sweet.
What are you eating right now, Monkey?
Couch and pickles and pizza.
Some of your favorite things? Did you tell him you made up a new song?
Mm-hmm.
Tell him about it. What is it?
With orange berry. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What's the rest of it? When we go to visit Brooke at work, she says, we're going to Orange Theory.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Orange Theory.
That was it. Just want to give you some East Coast feed love. We're just hanging here relaxing at Casa de Cats. What are we going to watch tonight, Monkey? Seriously?
Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo. What's Brooke doing? Let's find out. Oh, playing with the phone. Okay.
Better
Finding
than her
Nemo's
hair.
coming on. We have important things happening. Right, Monkey?
Right.
And you showed Jay you playing with all your Legos today? All your Lego guys? I know. Coolest stuff ever. And what are you going to eat while you're watching the movie? What's a special treat you get to eat?
Cheese balls.
Cheese balls.
Cheese
Oh, my
balls.
goodness.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Cheese balls. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Apparently everything is the Oh Yeah song. All right. Say goodnight
Yep.
to Jay and Nicole.
Good night and day and
You
hello.
going to give him a bye and give him a kiss? What's going on? There you go.
Bye.
And you got a kiss. Love you guys.
All right, they're cute. I jumped out of that.
Oh, man.
my gosh. All right, well, that was a little long, but what an adorable little girl that is.
Yeah.
Mrs. Ryan, it's time to push the Dave button.
Okie dokie.
Yep. All right. If you've been paying attention lately, you know we've been going after Mr. David Letterman to be a guest on this program right here. The obvious reasons. We're sitting at his old equipment here, the furniture, etc. There are some personal reasons, obviously, with Jay Ryan. There's a whole story to unpack here as well. And we're going to do a bookend to a conversation that started 20-something years ago. And we're very much looking forward to that. Mrs. Ryan has been working on it with Dave's guy, trying to put that together, as well as other things. Now's the time where I ask Mrs. Ryan, what's going on with Dave Watch?
I have calls this week.
Awesome.
I'll know
Yeah.
more when I know more.
We have to check in every day so that we can both push the button. And as you recall, Dave and the staff did this with Donahue back in the 80s. And then as I recall, they switched it to Oprah in the 90s, the 2000s. And that was pretty fun.
Right.
So it's sort of the same thing we're doing. Even though we've already made contact and we're dealing with it, we still have to honor our commitment to the audience as well, because we said we would.
Agreed. And I just will repeat myself as often as I need to. That's kind of what I do.
And that's been. Oh, gosh, it's the greatest. And then I only have one other announcement, Mrs. Ryan, and that is that our website is live.
Yay!
Please feel free to latenightplayset.com. Go watch shows, go listen to podcasts, go shop and buy stuff, go follow us, and I'm reading all the stuff off the card. Support us and check out that Backstage blog, which is coming soon. No, there's all sorts of cool stuff, and it will be fun for us. Oh, that was weird. It's like a bizarro. Wait, we're here we are. Right out of the website live. All right. So that's exciting for us. Finally
Very
done. Finally done.
exciting.
Merch store, all that stuff is up and running. LateNightPlayset.com.
Yeah.
Mrs. Ryan, it's time to ask the question that's on everyone's mind. Oh, what's going on, Mrs. Ryan? Dun, 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 dun.
I'm going to truncate some of this because I'm really excited for you to talk to Rodney, and I haven't seen him. We figured out since 2007-ish. But so I'm not good at that yet.
We're working on it.
There is a lot of question as to why injuries that are surgically operated on tend to get worse and have recurring injuries often. Studies into that
Not dissimilar to a car, right? It's fine when it was built from the factory, but the moment you go monkeying with it.
Yeah, the minute you mess with anything, but they're finding different correlations with the brain. It's changing the brain when you need to get something operated on, when it's that damaged that it needs to be repaired.
Interesting.
So I think of it that the brain's finding another way to communicate because they're finding that the pathways are atrophying, and that seems to be the problem that is leading to recurring injuries.
How do those neural pathways atrophy? How do we know? Is it from not playing bridge, as Monique Thomas likes to say? Is it from not stimulating the thinking brain?
It's not maintaining pathways that exist.
Understood. But, okay, well, then it's a question for another time.
Short answer, yes. Sorry, I'm getting better. I'm doing my best.
You are so good. It's amazing. I can hear you, your speech a little bit today. So is that tripping you mentally up? Can you hear it too?
Yeah.
Don't let it bother you. I mean, that's hard to say, or hard to do, but don't let it bother you.
Thank you.
Look how beautiful you look, and then focus on that. Done.
Great. There was a first grade teacher outside of Washington, D.C. It is tripping. It makes me think different things. It's like leading people down the wrong path when I storytell. There's a teacher outside of D.C. that shared her story on social media. She she teaches first grade for hearing impaired students, primarily K through 8, and she found herself in the awkward position of having to teach students that farts are audible. First graders didn't know, like deaf first graders.
Sure.
So
They only feel it.
yeah, so they didn't know why students were laughing and whatever. It's an eye-opening reminder for all of us.
It's perspective.
Like, people don't know what they don't know. So before you judge. And then last, there is a new hashtag going around, primarily Japan, called adult cream pie. Which is making a lot of Americans make that face.
I know there's a sexual term.
That's why it's marketing confusion, really, is what it comes down to. But in Japan, otana means like less sweet for a confectionery dessert type food versus the sexual cream pie. But that's the discrepancy. It actually apparently tastes like cheesecake.
I love cheesecake.
It looks like an apple pie. McDonald's tastes like a cheesecake.
What's it called again?
The hashtag is adult cream pie. Otana is the name of it. Otana cream pie.
I love it. I love it.
Not today.
And that's been what's going on, Mrs. Ryan?
I can't wait for Rodney to come in here.
I think you did great. I think you are great. I know how much work you were doing earlier today. I can't believe you even have a head to do a show today, considering how much of the other side of your brain you were using earlier. So I love you. I think
it's been a hard day.
Yeah,
you Letterman men keep on my toes.
Hang in there. All right, we're going to do a quick break, get our guest Rodney Rothman in here, and do all the stuff, talk about all the stuff,
cool.
and do all the stuff. All right, more to come right after this. Rodney Rothman in that chair. See you in a few. Late Night Playset. Back after this.
Oh, so delicious. It's the hot sauce made by Bears. Garlic and serrano mixed with love and care. You can put it on your eggs, pour it on your rice. It's great on a leg, it's better on a slice. It's oh so delicious. It's the hot sauce made by Bears. Oh, so delicious hot sauce. Great on everything except oatmeal.
Get your bottle today at osodelicious.org. $1 from every bottle sold goes to the National Military Family Association.
Good business?
Good.
All right, well, with with that, pulling it back, bringing the whole thing in here. There we go. All right. That's it. We are back sitting here with Mr. Rodney Rothman. What's up, brother?
What's going on?
Thanks for being here, man.
So much more soft-spoken than I remember.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Now we're going to need the mic closer. Jeez. This is really exciting for us for obvious reasons with your Letterman past and everything.
Yeah.
But you guys have quite a past, and your wife has already been here. We went down that road already. I would love to talk about your career. I'd love to talk about how you got into comedy, all of that stuff today, if we've got time.
We got time.
Anything else you feel like chatting about?
Sure.
Start with Rodney Rothman. Shit, man. Why are you here today? Why did you do this little TV show in someone's house?
It's so cool. It's so cool. Yeah, I mean, I've known Nicole for a long time. Told me all about it, and I was also kind of curious about the set. I wanted to check it out. I wanted to
This tiny little space.
but I wanted to see the old desk.
So, all right, let's just start right there. You used to work on Letterman.
Yeah.
You used to work on Letterman during this time, right?
You tell me. So tell me about this desk.
93, when The Late Show first started. In fact, the chairs actually, supposedly, we were told by a different staff member that they were stolen from Late Night when they left, along with some other items by the staff. So supposedly those are the same chairs from Late Night. But the desk is definitely 93 when The Late Show debuted on CBS and ran into the 90s, 96. March of 96, this generation, everything.
Interesting.
And if it may trigger your memory, they did the show in the lobby.
No, I remember. I was there.
Yeah, that's what I'm figuring. So
I remember.
That was the last time this stuff was ever photographed. Previous to us, was in the lobby of the Ed
That's so
Sullivan
cool.
Theater.
That's just like being reunited with an old friend.
Do you really remember that stuff? I mean, can you just, astral project back to that time?
Of course, yeah. No, I remember. We did the show in the lobby. It was the new set show. I guess the set wasn't ready yet. Is that why we did it in the lobby?
I mean, I was only a fan living in Fairfield County, Connecticut, right outside the city at the time. And we'll get to that in a moment.
I remember a comedy piece I wrote around then. It must have been, I don't think it was for the lobby show that we did, but I remember writing a comedy that I wrote a sketch, like the president of the old set fan club.
New set fan club.
New set fan
Do you
club.
remember why that came to be? Do you remember how?
piece?
Yes. Do you remember? Did you just dream that up?
Yeah, it was just an idea I had, but the thing that I remember about it was that I named the character Cliff Sussman after someone that I went to high school and grew up with. And you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to like name a character after a real person.
Right.
And then I had a very awkward train trip with Cliff Sussman several years later.
All right. Well, as a kid who looked pretty much like the character Cliff Sussman in that sketch, I don't have a clip of it today, but I know it very, very well. I recall it. The kid came over and he wouldn't stop touching the desk and the whole bit.
Yeah, I can't remember who played that part, but
I don't know, but he wore an outfit just like me and he looked just like me.
Yeah.
I was the kid at home. I thought Rupert Pupkin. I thought it was a take on somehow Pupkin Sussman somehow in there.
Oh yeah, no. I just broke every rule and named a character after someone that I knew.
So, do you remember? Here, can I play a clip for you and see if it may jog your memory? Because
Sure.
it's from the show you're talking about. It was the first show back with the new set.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna roll it, Hal.
Once you get her started, by God, there's no stopping her. I've noticed two problems with the new set.
What?
Well, one, this microphone is higher than it needs to be.
Now, what's that about?
Well, it's because the other microphone, the one that's been on the desk for 2.5 years here and 13.5 years at NBC, last night that was stolen.
You're kidding.
Now, that was stolen. So we had to replace it with this other new, and it occurs to me that we stole that microphone from NBC. So, and the other thing is there's no window here now, so when I do this, what do we get? See? We used to have some kind of satisfying sound effect that, I don't know. Some things to work out. We'll have some meetings and we'll take care of those.
All right. So, does that ring a bell at all?
Yeah, kind of.
I always thought that the Cliff Sussman character was based on the microphone thief, because later in the week there's a different piece that comes in with Dana Carvey comes in to steal a piece of the new set for his new show. I think the famous Dana Carvey show was starting. Was any of that stuff actually based on this microphone theft?
No.
No, none of it.
No. It was,
Do you even remember the microphone theft? Was that a big deal?
It wasn't a big deal.
Amazing.
I mean, it might have been a big deal. I'm sure it might have been a big deal within production, you know.
Sure.
But it wasn't a big deal in my world. It's not something we talked about. I don't remember caring about it. But
all those pieces being written around the same sort of subject matter, it's just a coincidence.
it's just a coincidence,
Okay.
you know, because there's so many writers and everyone's just desperately competing to get material on, and you're not thinking about it that deeply. It's like you're just
Right.
literally. I think in the case of that sketch, I was just like desperate to get something on.
Oh, but it was funny. I
Yeah.
thought. Didn't you have a model of the set with toothpicks? and the whole
I
thing?
remember
It was funny.
I remember being proud of that piece. Now I'll probably watch it and I would feel embarrassed, but I remember at the time being really proud of you know, I'd been on the show probably about 8 or 9 months at that point, so getting like a 3-minute long chunk of material on was a big deal for me.
Yeah. And it was one that had some breathing room. Dave played with it for
Yeah,
a bit, which was kind of
Yeah,
nice.
he liked it. Yeah.
Well, if you haven't put the pieces together, this stuff was all photographed in the lobby show, and then the very next night, or the very next show anyway,
Right.
the microphone had already been stolen. So it was photographed in the lobby show, stolen,
Mhm.
and then they had the replacement. You can probably put the pieces together. I was the fucking kid who got let into the Ed Sullivan Theater overnight, and I snuck around and checked out the new set with the bridges before anybody in America, and I was the one who played the drums and fucking was the kid who stole the microphone.
I can't tell if this is a joke or if this is a real.
It's 100% true, and that's why we want Dave here. We've been working on this project
Oh my God,
forever. It's 100% true. I lived in the same town. I drove down there. Here, hang on. Here's me in high school. No joke.
Oh my God.
That's the microphone that ended up going on David. Oh, well, that's a whole nother story. Anyway, yeah, I was literally doing this stuff at the time, drawing pictures like this,
That's pretty good.
like talking about Rupert Pupkin. That's the stuff we're sitting at today.
yeah.
And, well, that was a different from NBC, but so
Well,
yeah,
that's okay.
I was 100. What's that?
Well, I want to take this back. So, so you broke into the theater?
Do you want to?
I wanna- I
Because
want
we
a
told
story.
the whole story on the show
You can cut
once.
it out. I want to hear it for myself.
It was the night of the new set reveal. It was supposed to be. It was a Monday night, and there was going to be a new set, and I couldn't have been more excited about it. My dad had just died 2 weeks earlier.
Wow.
I had a friend come stay with me. My parents were divorced. It was just me, only child, so I was like alone. I had a friend come stay with me, and you can tell from all of that stuff, that was my high school work. Those are like those pictures and stuff. That's what I was doing instead of arithmetic and shit. So I was totally into this shit, and I really wanted to see that new set. And Letterman lived around the corner, and the show was down there. I was already interning at NBC.
In
Like I
Connecticut.
sort of knew.
In Connecticut, you said. Where in
Yeah.
Connecticut?
I lived in the town called Wilton.
Wilton. And
Yeah,
he
and
lived
I
in
lived
New
right.
Canaan?
Mhm,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
both lived right on the border of both of those towns.
Got it.
About
Okay.
a mile apart. Yeah. And I feel comfortable saying that because he lives in Montana or somewhere else now, not at this place. But yeah, so 11:35 rolls around on that Monday night, and it was a repeat, old set repeat, and I was like, "What the hell?" I'm the TV guide and everything else. I'm prepared for what I'm prepared for, and I had just bought an E30 BMW, which was kind of a cool car at the time, I thought, because again, my dad had just died.
Yeah.
I just got a couple bucks, and I was like, I'm going to sell his Cherokee, and I'm going to buy this BMW. And I said, I'm going to go for a drive. And I was a straight edge kid, no drinking, didn't even smoke cigarettes, nothing. So other than avoiding deer, like this was a safe activity. And I found myself through a crazy set of circumstances between needing gas and the gas station being closed, and then the sign for the fucking Merritt Parkway, and one thing leading to the other. I just was like, well, why don't I just drive down there? They probably couldn't do the show because, like you said, the set wasn't done in time. So maybe they're still working on it. Maybe I could even take a peek. Maybe I could, at the very least, there's dumpsters. I'll do what ended up happening years and years later, where they all went dumpster diving for the set. We did not do that.
You and your friend.
No, this was just me. This was just me.
Okay, so you drive down. Okay.
Yeah, and anyway, everything was true. The dumpsters were there. I parked in front. Cricketville, like nothing. There was no work to be going on. There was nothing happening at all. And I knocked on I heard vacuuming. I was about to climb in the dumpster, and I heard vacuuming. That's how quiet it was on 53rd Street.
What time was it?
Well, the show was probably like 1 in the morning.
Okay.
And whatever. I heard vacuuming, and I went and knocked on what I later found out was the stage door. and nothing, but I could still hear like literally on the other side of the door, and I'm like, I'm this close, I gotta fucking whatever. So I just a little bit harder, and they opened the door, and I just literally went right past, and I was like, oh, running late, huh? And I went, it was a tiny room, and you know the space now. It was the tiny vestibule, I guess a security vestibule. So it's like one door, a fucking little thing, and then another door, and I just went through the other door really quick, and then it was like, okay, he's vacuuming, so I'll just figure out where I'm going. And I already I really had worked at NBC at this point at 30 Rock and stuff, so I knew production, I knew how all this stuff worked, and etc. But
whoever was cleaning didn't come after you?
Correct. He just opened the door for me, let me come in. And I went through that next door, and as you know, at that point, you are on the stage of the Ed Sullivan Theater, right where the guests make their entrance. Yeah. That's where you walk out from that door.
There's not room.
Right. Now it all looked different, but everything was in the same place. There's the new desk and chairs. There's the new, bandstand and all this stuff. And instead of buildings, they had bridges, and they had a new tile floor, like all this crazy stuff. And of course, I identified all of it because you saw my attention to detail with this stuff. This is supposed to be your segment, by the way, mister.
No, I mean,
the microphone was not on the desk, and I started exploring there was a bunch of cleaning people in the audience, like vacuuming the seats and stuff, and no one on the stage. And so I was a drummer, I was a piano player, all these things. So I actually was skilled and aware. So I went over and pretended I was like, looking at the drum. When the truth is, I'm like looking at, it's all glass now. Oh, they changed all this stuff. I wanted to see the new set, and I manifested myself into it somehow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You know what I'm saying? And so one by one, the people left. And after maybe 10, 15 minutes, I was the only one in the Ed Sullivan Theater building.
What an innocent
The Ed Sullivan
time.
Theater building.
You know what I mean?
This is before 9/11. It's 96.
Yeah.
And I was a
Totally
kid.
different, yeah.
I was a kid that, what are you doing in here? Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
So I started exploring, and I went up in the catwalk, up the spiral staircase, and going all over the catwalks and up into the balcony and back down. And once I got fucking bored, I guess, I found another staircase behind what was the double doors that went downstairs underneath the stage, and past all the departments, and like there was a green room down there, and then I found another hallway that was really like dark, like not even finished, like cement. And anyway, that took me to the other side of like the Broadway side, and it took me to by where the Hal Gurney control room is. And I had known that because it was only very recently at that time that he had retired, and they dedicated it to him. So it was like, this was fresh in my mind. Like the plaque was shiny. So I went in there, and I didn't touch anything, but I was, checking it all out, because again, in my mind, I'm going to work here someday. Like this is my goal. And then I went into another room that was down there, and I guess it was an audio room or a video room or something. But anyway, on a counter underneath some cabinets in the back, just with like the testing gear and all the stuff, was the microphone.
It was just sitting there?
Just sitting there underneath this stage in this audio room on a counter underneath these cabinets. Not in a box, not hit, just literally there. And it was all crazy beat up, and I didn't even think it was the real one. I was like, this doesn't really, maybe it's probably a backup. And anyway, within seconds, I had taken the thing apart and put it in my pockets and I was like, that's it, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And I got outside into my BMW, and I put the pieces in the passenger seat, and I drove around the corner to the West Side Highway, basically, and took a right, and I parked on the side, and I turned the thing on, and I put all the pieces together, so it was this again. And I was looking at it like, what the F did you just do? Because I can't even now, I couldn't even bring it back if I wanted to. I'm now locked out. Yeah. If I had made this decision, thought about it before, hey, buddy, the angel and the fucking... No, I'd done it, so I'd sealed my fate. And then the story, believe it or not, that's not the interesting part. And I think kids stole the microphone, no big deal. I then took it upon myself to return to Dave at his house on the following weekend, because you guys had written all those bits. Right. Made it look. Dave says the first night, you stole the microphone, and then all those bits came up.
Did he talk about? I can't remember. Did we know that was there a video of a kid in the theater? Did we talk about that?
In my mind, there sure was.
Right. It might, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Who knows, though? Middle of the night?
I don't know, but I have to assume there were there are or were security cameras everywhere. I had to assume that I was on them, because I wasn't trying not to be.
Right.
Well, I'm sure everywhere.
I'm sure you were on them, but maybe they just weren't taping it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, so then next weekend you go.
Yeah, so you got that. So by the way, so the new show was on a Tuesday night, because the Monday there was a repeat. By the way, Mrs. Ryan, in her neck of the woods and her expertise, pointed out to me very easily, oh, it was the effing Oscars on Monday night. I just had no interest in that whatsoever.
Sunday. He was flying Monday.
Anyway, whatever. So yeah, all week, and then I decided, what the hell am I supposed to do? I gotta bring this back. That's the right thing to do. And for whatever reason, between me and this knucklehead friend of mine who I loved dearly, but it was like Goodwill Hunting. It was like the friend who was more loyal than smart.
Right.
We hashed this plan of, and I totally skipped over this part, but I built and made this microphone for my high school show. It was a real old RCA that I, looked up and used to call Kathleen Anchors and interview her a little bit on the show. I can't believe we're talking about this the whole time, man. I want to talk about Spider-Man and all your stuff.
It's okay.
We're going to cut this out.
Yeah.
Anyway, I decided to go to his house and give him my microphone that I made for my little educational access television show, saying, hey, Mr. Letterman, blah, blah, blah. So that was the plan. And it just seemed as far-fetched as me finding a theater door open to go see the new set. But I have a knack. So it's only about a mile drive, but I took a few wrong turns to make it last about 15 minutes, and thinking the whole time, what the hell am I going to say at the, because you got to get through the little call box.
Yeah.
Hey, I was in the theater the other day, and I figured the smartest course of action here would be to show up at your home. Anyway, I really didn't come up with anything, and I kind of drew a blank. And I was coming around the last turn thinking, all right, it's like theater, something will come to me. And I got to the box, and the gate was open.
Ooh, wow.
And I don't mean like, oh, he just drove up. He just got home from the grocery store, and it's still open. I mean like it was open. So and at this time, I don't know if you ever went to his home, but at this
I did not.
At
So
this
that's
time, at this time, it was configured so that the driveway would drive up and behind the home. I think probably for security purposes. It's an old-fashioned house. There clearly was a front door, but it was not used. There was not even a driveway in front of it anymore. So you drive through this gate, and now I'm not only like I'm in his property, but I'm like in his property. I'm in the backyard of his home, between the pool and the tennis courts and the house. And at that point is when I can see the reason the gate was open is because he was having his pool filled. As far as I know, that happens one day, and also like once a year. Like, what are the chances? So I drove up, and I had my microphone on the thing, and I took a couple deep breaths, and I was looking around, and I couldn't really. There's no front door. It's a back. There isn't really any place to go in. And I see a screen porch, and I'm like, all right, well, we have a screen porch, so I got to go in the screen porch in order to get to the house door to knock. And I knocked on the screen porch just in case, and of course I can see there's no one in there, so no one answered. So I helped myself into the screen porch. And it's a finished room in his home. It's not like my screen porch, which was, we use it seasonally. This had nice stuff in it. Now I'm knocking on the plate glass window into the home. Now I'm looking into David Letterman's home. I'm in the outside room, and I'm looking into the great room of his house.
But you have not the microphone you took, but a different microphone.
That is correct. It looks extremely similar, but he and I know the difference.
Okay, got you.
I see him come into sight and come around the frame, and it does typically, what can I do for you? And I said, and he, so he comes out the door, and now we're on the porch, probably making sure that I don't fucking have a conniption fit. And I said, my name is, and I used to do a show down at the high school, and then, and I don't remember exactly what I said, but I blattered for a while, and said, I know yours was stolen, and you mentioned on the show, and I would love to, just donate this to the show if you want to use it or not. And he says, after a few minutes of just kind of sizing me up, he said, well, I can't take this, and I, oh no, really, it would mean a lot to me if you just, and he was very adamant about I can't accept it. The thing cost me at the time like $600. Like I cashed out my whole thing, and then I had this piece made by a welder and painted it and melted, a different thing, and I had the whole thing chromed because mine wasn't the right color. Like crazy OCD, Asperger's-y type stuff. On and on, I eventually get him to. I said, it's not yours, but it's pretty close, and he took it in his hand at that point. And the moment he took it in his hand, I was like, this is going to work. He's going to take it. And he turned it around, and he goes, well, it is. And he was looking at this part that I had made, which was all wrong on the studio one. He said, it is. It's real close, actually. It's real close. And I could see that he was looking at it and thinking about it. And maybe in the hindsight, he was probably thinking about, all right, well, how do I get this kid out of here the safest way possible? He said, all right, I will accept this. I'll take it, but I got to get something for you. You wait right there. I got to get something for you. And I waited right there, and he disappeared, and he took the mic and he put it on the dining room table in this great room that I saw, and then he went up the stairs and disappeared out of sight. And a few minutes going on, I'm just kind of standing there, and I'm 100% convinced he's calling the New Canaan Police Department.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of happy about it because I'm like, all right, this is all going to come out, and then I'll be. I didn't have the guts. I didn't have the guts at the time to just tell the truth.
Yeah.
The adult me knows I would have had an internship set up immediately, and I probably would have had a job for life if I had just been honest about what I lost my head. I got let in, and then I took it, and instead, Dave comes back into view with, and he's unwrapping something. I already know what it is because the only other thing I wanted as much as this microphone, and it was a golden blue.
Oh, nice.
Untaking the wrapper off, and he gets out on the porch, and he's, let's see, we're about the same size, and I wear an XL, so this ought to work for you. And he hands me a Late Show crew jacket.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
And then the following Monday, so that was Saturday, and then the following Monday, my microphone that I gave him at his house was on his desk where it remained for the next decade.
No.
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Yeah. did you break back in to confirm it?
No.
Okay.
No. But I mean, I made it by hand. I mean, I know.
That is awesome, man.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean,
but
it's
I never had the balls to do it, and then I locked it away along with that period of my life. It got really shitty with family and money,
no,
and
it's
you know how
intense.
things get.
No, that's like an intense story. Like it's intense for like 9. Honestly, that's like intense for 9 different reasons at once. That's
Dude,
like,
I'm sweating bullets just telling you.
Yeah. No,
I
mean, like,
relive it every time I go there.
Yeah, that's a really, really, really
So
interesting, cool story.
it seemed like a really cool. Oh, this will be a neat documentary. Well, like 2-3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a really interesting start to a great story. And then it was like, well, what would the bookend be?
Mm-hmm.
So we started doing
I
a
see.
podcast.
Oh.
And then out of nowhere, the desk and chairs that I stole this microphone off of is the Dark Crystal. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I got the shard. I took
right.
the shard forever ago,
Mm-hmm.
and now you put the shard back in the thing. It's just weird how it all unfolded.
Yeah.
And now here we are doing this, and then we're going to get Dave here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it.
It's wild. You're not you are processing it right now? Is that what's going on?
What processing? What aspect of it?
My whole thing, because I'm a nervous wreck here talking to you.
Are you really?
Yeah, I feel
Do you talk
crazy.
about it on
I
the
feel
show
like,
a lot?
No, not to that level.
No.
Because we wasted so much time doing that.
It's not a waste of time at all. It's really it's really it's cool, man. Like there must be a reason why I sat down and that's how the segment unfolded. But no, I mean it's a really cool story. I mean, if I told you what I really thought, it would I don't know. Like it's like
I won't be crushed if that's what.
No, you won't be crushed. No, it wouldn't crush you. No, it's like I hear a story, about someone who just went through a trauma,
Right. Yeah.
and you were already kind of like a weird kid, and I say that as a compliment and an observation. I was a weird kid, and lots of people I know were weird kids. So and you could be weird back then I think in a different way than you could be weird today because we were all on our own so much more.
Solitude made a big difference.
So that's I mean the fact that the microphone was there for years afterwards, for me it's like getting a gift of a story that adds a whole other layer of interesting context to what was a really intense experience for me and a formative experience for me. So it's really cool. And then with the Dave of it, I mean, that's intense. I mean, I haven't seen the guy in 20 years, honestly, so, but I remember, I remember what it was like to interact with him. And yeah, I mean, your story makes me sweat too.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of part of it. I knew that this was not only just it was almost a character on the show. I mean, it's always here. And we watch these clips on YouTube now, and it's like, well, it's the one common thread throughout the entire thing where it's just always there. It's in the shot every time.
Yeah. I guess another thing that I would say is like, kind of other things that it makes me think is like, I mean, Dave, he can speak for himself, but it's like, I don't think of him, especially back then, as a particularly sentimental person. I don't necessarily think of, he might have been, but I didn't think of him that way. But
I do know from doing research after the fact, obviously, that that he was the one after the first year pickup on late night that requested the old-fashioned microphone. Hey, can we get one of those, like Steve Allen, whatever? And I used to work at Conan, and I used to pick the brain of the audio guys there because they would tell me all this stuff, and they were friends and the car guys and the whole bit. So we just had a lot of common threads. And he said that, and when Dave asked for it, that whoever the audio guy was went across the hall to the old Jack Parr studio and got one of the old audio. It was Live at 5 at the time, and that's where the mic came from. It was like supposedly there's all these stories behind, like, oh, it was one of Johnny Mike's, it was one of Jack Parr. I don't know that any of that stuff is true, but like, do you remember the sound effects guy from The Late Show?
Gary Caffell, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, well, he was the one who was telling me some of this stuff as well, saying that, it was just disappeared overnight. It was there one day and then not the next.
But anyway, so it's like that's a really unusual Dave story that I've not heard Dave stories like that. It's cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
It's wild.
So that's how we got the set, and that's why it makes so much more sense. The first bookend. All right, on to you.
Yeah.
Gee whiz, man. I hope the show makes it up tonight. All right, we got Letterman out of the way.
Yeah.
What was it like did you enjoy your time, though, working on that show?
I did. I mean, I don't know.
You must have been really young.
I was young. I was 21 when I was hired there.
Whoa.
Yeah, and
How long were you there?
I was there just maybe a hair under 5 years.
That's a good run.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So wait a second. What were you there when Rob Burnett took over EP?
I was, and that was exactly the time you're talking about. That was exactly like Rob's very first show back as executive producer was that lobby show. Yeah. So
maybe they always blamed it on Morty.
I know. maybe that's how you got in there. Is that there was like no one watching the store for a second, like
Great. The changing of the guards.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of details from that job I remember, and I can't remember like literally what I was doing this morning, but I remember a lot about that job.
Just impressionable youth kind of thing.
Impressionable youth. It was just
the show was huge at the time too.
Yeah,
it was like the biggest show in television.
Yeah, it was a really heightened, just a very heightened experience. A lot of adrenaline running, so you just remember a lot. And young, and everything was new, and but
Did it feel important then?
Important?
That show, like it's such a cultural defining.
Yeah.
Entity.
Yeah, I mean. It did. I mean, it felt important in the sense that, like, everybody. I was just talking to people about this weekend, because I saw a bunch of Letterman folks this weekend for the first time in a long time, and it felt important within our world. Like everything was life or death. Everything was life or death, and everyone was really keyed up, and all the time. And if something, live television, it felt just like literally felt like the end of the world if something went wrong, and if you screwed it up, it felt like the end of the world. You
guys were running the big show at that point. I mean, you got the big show, the big stakes, right?
Yeah, and then but then as far I guess, and then pop culture wise, I mean, it felt important, but it also felt it was also kind of funny because like I said, it was the end of the world to us, but it was on at 11:30 at night, and lots of people didn't watch it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But we were part of the pop culture conversation, and at that time, obviously it was before the internet was really big and before clips were really big on the internet. But so you were really in addition to like the daily nightly show where you're just looking to put on a good show. You're always looking to do things that cut through pop culture, in some way. Like you mentioned, like Drew Barrymore, like Madonna, or Farrah Fawcett, or a couple comedy pieces. It's just like you're always looking to do the things that just cut through.
Were you with the show when they went on the road at any point? Did you go to like London, or did you really?
I got there right after London, but
San Francisco.
I was in San Francisco, which was shortly after what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I went to LA before that, and
you did?
I did.
Oh, that was one of my favorite sets. I never got to see. I would have loved to see that with the Ferris wheel and everything.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Yeah, so we did shows in LA in November of '95, and
so was that the Carson? That wasn't.
That was not. That was before that.
Okay.
I never saw Carson.
Okay.
But yeah, and then at a certain point, let's see. I can't remember if we went anywhere ever after San Francisco.
Well, I recall, again, from my friend at Conan, that there was a trauma during that trip as well. Somebody had passed away, if you remember.
Yes.
And I, of course, saw that name downstairs next to the Hal Gurney control room because...
Yeah, Kevin
Drone.
Yeah.
Videotape operator.
Yeah. So that happened, but I don't know. But at a certain point, we started to bring audiences in from places. I don't remember why, but
Never a good sign.
When
I don't know. It's never a good sign, is it?
Yeah. I mean,
You mean bussing them in?
No. That's not what I mean. I mean, we stopped traveling for shows. I remember we would bring in an audience for many. We would fly an entire audience into us.
You would flip the whole process.
Yeah, we would do.
That's really funny.
For like 4 weeks, we would do. It often had to do with affiliates that we were, trying to pay attention to. So like Minneapolis and St. Louis and Atlanta or wherever, we would fly the audience and then we would do like one St. Louis show and we would write a bunch of comedy or film.
I totally remember.
Yeah.
You changed the backdrop behind the desk and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
But Dave wouldn't, we wouldn't go shoot remotes there. We wouldn't, if we did shoot a remote, we would send one of our repertory people and
it is material, but it's totally a way to drum up business.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Did you get to work with Hal? Or was he gone already?
He was gone. I don't recall if I ever met him.
Okay. I mean, he's technically still alive, I think, right?
Yeah. I think so. But there's a guy who I don't think is alive named Pete Fatovich. Who,
I loved Pete.
Yeah,
I met Pete.
He used to come around.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Yeah. So Pete was around, but I don't remember Hal being around.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
How many writers were there when you were there?
It would range from like 8 to 15.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a good range.
It was a good range, yeah.
Can we get to Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
Yeah.
I love that movie. Like, not to turn this into the Chris Farley show.
I know.
That was awesome. I love that movie. It's one of those movies I didn't expect to like when it came out.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of friends who worked on it before we even knew each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of those, I saw it reluctantly at a friend's house, and I said, this movie is just so sweet and damn delightful. Was that your first big motion picture? Because I was looking at the credits, and I'm like, that's a big one out of the box.
Yeah.
Nice hit.
Yeah. That was the first movie I worked on, like from start to finish,
Did you have anything to do with the writing as well?
I did.
Oh.
I did. So the way that worked is, I mean, Jason Segel wrote the movie, and then I kind of was part of, once the movie was going to be made, I was kind of part of the team. Really, him and me and Nick Stoller were sort of then kind of the team that rewrote it.
Made it what it is.
Yeah, but the essence, not just the essence, but Jason really wrote. In that case, I've worked on some movies where the script evolves a lot, and that script did evolve, but it was very much created by Segel and from his brain.
And I think a lot of the backstory is out at this point, where it came from and everything. So, but anytime it's a personal story where there's actually, it's really your feelings involved, it comes out on the page, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I was really maybe part of the team that like rewrote it and figured out how to make it, get it on its feet, and get it to work.
Well done.
Yeah.
Good grief. I love that movie.
Yeah.
How many times we put it on? Anytime we go on a trip, we put it on, and anytime it's like, well, I don't want to. We just something happy and good. We can just relax to. Okay,
that's
boom.
Nice. Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah. That was.
You guys did a good job keeping it all together. Nick directed it. Yeah.
Nick directed it. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels very close knit like that.
Yeah. At the time, I remember people telling us it was going to be the best job we ever had. Because
you mean go shoot at Turtle Bay?
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. No. Nick and Jason and I, for all of us, it was our first movie. Maybe it wasn't Jason's first movie, but it was definitely his first starring role. And I remember everyone telling us it was the best job we'd ever have, mostly because we were living in Hawaii and filming, but also because just the vibe generally. And I think we all kind of acknowledged in the end that it sort of was the best actual job experience we ever had. Yeah.
I'm not going to ask if that still holds up.
No, it does. No.
Does it really?
No, I've had other good jobs, and I've had other jobs that turned out well. But that for actual enjoyment, we really enjoyed ourselves, and it's usually a bad thing. It's seen as it's kind of like
you're not working hard enough, right?
Yeah, like there's like a conventional wisdom that like when you get to the point in your career that you go to Hawaii and make a movie, you know.
The Brady Bunch.
Yeah, like you're really in trouble, and the movie
Check it out.
doesn't usually turn out so good.
It's not Jump the Shark, but the equivalent.
Yeah, it's
I know
like
what
you know you're like kind of planning your vacations around your movies, or you know there are some actors you can see that doing that, but we worked really hard. We had a lot of fun. We were younger, like, you know, we were still having fun. And,
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, following that up, though, with Get Him to the Greek, I have to ask a question that it's the only thing that bothers me about Get Him to the Greek, because the movie is so fun. The Jonah Hill switching to a different character.
Sure.
Now, creative decision, Jonah's reason, like, what the hell? We could have made that work, right? For him being the same guy, or was it just going to be too sloppy to go from crazy fan to assistant?
I really was in favor of changing the character. So this is something you're going to have to take up with me directly.
It is.
I know. You are, I guess.
I am.
That's what you just did. Jonah, I remember, was fine with it, but he had some questions.
Yeah.
It wasn't from Jonah, that thing. At the time, I really felt... I mean, I thought it was awkward no matter how you did it, I think.
Agreed,
you know?
and that's maybe what I'm getting at. Was this the lesser of the two evils?
Yeah.
Like it's a catch-22.
Yeah, like the idea for the movie and what drove it had nothing to do with the character he played in
Marshall. Yeah.
Sarah Marshall.
Was this character written for him?
Yes.
So this definitely was. Yeah, so it's like, what do you do?
Yeah, so it was just kind of like, you know, I mean, but you're right. I'm sure we could have made the opposite decision and made it work.
I wouldn't have brought it up except that you've dabbled into the superhero movies, and I know that canon's a big thing with them.
Yeah.
The superhero fans.
Yeah, I hate to tell you, but some of those parts get recast too.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But this is different than recast.
I
isn't
see
it?
what you mean.
Because
It's
it's
the
him.
opposite,
It's
No,
the
it's the same. We were just recasting Jonah as himself.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you threw me for a loop there.
Yeah.
On to further questioning.
Yeah.
5-year engagement, same thing
5-year
as
engagement.
the Sarah Marshall. For me, it is just a delightful movie
Thank
that I
you.
didn't expect to like, and I don't know why. I'm a dude, and I don't think I'm going to like the sappy movies, and I love them every time.
I want
that
you to know,
one's great.
I really argued in favor on that movie of having Jonah come and play the character from Sarah Marshall.
Yeah, well, I would have been the guy who would have gotten it. I just love that movie as well, though. Did you write that one?
Same thing. You know, Nick wrote the
okay.
first script, and then I was kind of part of rewriting it. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I don't mean anything by it. I just love to know how the process works.
Yeah, or Nick and Jason wrote the first draft of that.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
I'm not a comic book guy. I don't know much about them. I never. You saw what I was doing instead of reading comic books.
Yeah, that was you.
Weird in my own room.
Yeah.
Are you a comic book guy? Have you always been a comic book guy?
Not so much. I mean,
great job.
Yeah. Not so much. I was aware of them. You know, I read them. I wasn't oblivious to comic books, but I actually was never.
Well, hang on.
obsessed
Let
with
me
them.
back up. I'm aware that they existed,
Yeah.
of course.
Didn't seem like you were.
It was not my
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah. No, that's how I was. So I read them, but I wasn't obsessive about comic books, and wasn't like diehard for any. You know, I liked Mad Magazine. I liked National Lampoon. I liked Spy. I was maybe more obsessive about that stuff, but I was from, you know, I grew up in Forest Hills, and if you know,
Really?
yes, but when I was a little kid, and if anybody, you know, I always really liked that Spider-Man Peter Parker was from Forest Hills, and so if I felt an affinity with anyone, it would probably be Spider-Man, but I wouldn't say I was you know, obsessive about it.
Yeah. My only.
Yeah.
James Franco was my only Spider-Man down to the thing, but that's a whole story for another day. We've wasted enough time talking about me.
You broke into his house and you stole the Green Goblin jet. And you also
Can you imagine? I mean, really, the story I told you is like, oh, what else has he done? That's where the story got you. The imagination, of course, runs wild.
Great to see
Because
you again.
Why would you lock it all away for 20-something years and then come out so hard and do this? You know, I get it. Did you ever consider doing stand-up, or have you ever done stand-up? And I don't know.
I haven't.
You've got a funny brain. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I would have liked to. There's definitely like an alternate version where I where I did stand up. I used to perform when I was in college, and when I was younger, and then I just stopped after I graduated. I got hired, pretty quickly as a writer, and got really busy and didn't. Letterman wasn't a show, some of like Conan and a lot of late night shows have a lot of the writers do stand up. It's like part of the culture at a lot of these shows that people do stand up. They leave work, they go do stand up.
Yes.
Letterman wasn't like that. It was like a very writer driven show, and we were just there all the time. There was no chance. It wasn't a culture where you took off to go do a set somewhere.
No.
And at a certain point, I think I got for whatever reason. I mean, first of all, I just got busy and preoccupied with what I was doing, and maybe at a certain point, I got self-conscious about performing again for whatever reason. But I do like to perform, and I do think that there's a, if I hadn't gotten like snatched up that quickly by something so preoccupying, I might have done it.
Yeah. And I also wonder, I feel like whatever.
You think, yeah.
I'm doing two things because the amount of time that we wasted on me, I'm still not over. I'm still not over it.
I think it was great. We bumped the next guest. We did unexpected segment. Yeah.
What do you like in comedy? What do you like? What makes a movie funny to you?
A movie funny to me.
It doesn't have to be a movie. What makes a project funny to you?
Like one that I'm working on or one that I'm watching?
Anything. I find you very interesting. I kind of want to know how your process works. So maybe one you're working on would be great.
One that I'm working on, funny. I mean, I'm kind of one of those people. This is not something I'm bragging about. I'm one of those like funny people who doesn't laugh that much, or I do laugh, but I laugh at like life stuff. Not at like jokes.
I know exactly what you mean. You're probably hard to please when it comes to the comedic front.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your bar's high, I'm guessing, right? You're a communicator by trade. You're a writer.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. And that was actually one of the things that really threw me at Letterman at first. That was the first time I'd encountered people who didn't laugh when they said that's funny, But
Very dry over there.
Yeah.
That is its own funny thing.
Yeah.
I never thought there was anything weird about that. I used to do the same thing. And somebody was like, why don't you just laugh? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you just laugh? Because somebody's walking through a production office on whatever show and it's fucking totally doing their work and working for the material. And I'm like, that's funny.
Yeah.
I'm like, for me, it's a huge seal. It's like the fucking Carson thing. You know what I mean? If I say something's funny, but to them, I did not give them what they needed at all.
You did not think that was funny.
No. And then it's not what they required.
Well, yeah, but obviously I love to laugh, and I laugh all the time. But it just, it's not that interesting. I think I need to things that are surprising to me make me laugh. Things that are really silly, like really silly, like and like.
What's an example though? Like where does really silly go?
Okay, like here's something. It's been 20 years since this, but one of the things that made me laugh harder, like one of the things I saw that made me laugh harder than anything ever, like was remember the show Mr. Show?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, there was a Mr. Show sketch, kind of famous, about a guy who just climbed Mount Everest and comes back from climbing Mount Everest and is with his whole family, and he's in this living room with like a wall of thimbles. His mom and dad's thimble collection, glass thimbles, and they ask him to tell the story of climbing Everest, and he accidentally falls into the wall of thimbles and knocks them all off, and then they have to like put them all back. And the sketch is them asking him to tell the story and him accidentally falling into the wall of thimbles like 9 or 10 times in a row. Like it just happens over and over and over again, and that made me laugh so hard.
It sounds borderline like Super Dave. That kind of humor. Was it that sort of thing? Him falling over, or Gods Must Be Crazy? Yeah, no, but yes. So there's definitely a slapstick element, but it's also, it blew my mind. Like, at the time, it was so like it's transgressive is the word that pops into my head, but it was like so. It also like it goes against. There's like the rule of threes, Oh, it broke all the comedy rules.
Yeah, like it just the idea that it would happen so many times. Like, just gets so. The first time I saw it, it just started to make me laugh so hard, and the fact that it kept going. It's like a 10-minute long sketch. It's just a guy trying to tell a story, and then repeatedly falling into a wall of thimbles and knocking them over, and everyone's getting so mad. Like how everyone else in this sketch is playing it very real. Like, why do you keep doing that? You know, like, you know, so that
people in the sketch are acknowledging how ridiculous it is. I mean, the people outside it, that's a funny wall breaker right there.
Yeah, but you know, if I was really analyze it, it's like creating this like reality in the sketch, you know, that's just like so crazy, and then everyone's playing it really real, and it just makes you live this experience of somebody making the same mistake. Anyway, so that
the Edge of Tomorrow kind of thing.
Yeah, that really made me laugh. Yeah, things have to like really push it to make, you know, like things in the last few years that really made me laugh. Nathan For You, really, you know that show?
No.
Nathan For You ended, but it was on Comedy Central, and it's
scripted.
Yes, but you should just watch it because it's an example of somebody influenced by Dave who then takes it someplace else or someplace beyond. But,
okay.
You know, but influenced by Dave and influenced by people.
Say it one more time. What's
Nathan
it called?
For You.
For You. Got it.
Nathan Fielder. He's a Canadian comedian. So that's an example of something that really made me laugh. You know,
Is it smart?
It's brilliant, and it's stuff that's just happening on a bunch of different levels. You know, he also does, you know, he does things that's like, it's kind of, you know, there's real people in it. It's kind of remotes. It's happening on like a number of different levels at once, and there's also like a really emotional aspect to it. You know, like there's the people he meets and the way, you know, the stories you end up hearing. Sometimes he kind of stumbles into things that are actually kind of moving.
Oh, so it's like Man on the Street type remotes where he's just interacting. Okay, it's all sorts.
You just have to watch it. Yeah, the premise of the show is that he's a kind of a business consultant who is offering himself to different small businesses, and his ideas are generally terrible. And then the segments are about however long they take, a few days or a few weeks or months. It's about his relationship with these people as he helps their business. But like with the best of these kinds of shows,
it sounds awesome. Like there's a good healing element to it.
Yeah, but it kind of just goes in a whole other direction. So unfortunately, like my receptors for comedy at some point got so burned out that it's like, to really delight me and make me laugh, you have to like surprise me and have like 6 different things going on at the same time, and yeah.
That means to me you're safe to hang out with.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're so funny.
Yeah.
Can you please tell any story you remember from Mrs. Ryan's old life? Shabbat's old life over here?
Yeah.
Our viewers really know us in the car world, and they know her not being able to walk and doing this, not doing her old job.
Of course.
And you guys used to work on some pretty high caliber stuff, as we were just talking about.
Yes. Well, first of all, let me just. So, were you working with Jonah for Get Him to the Greek?
He was at my company. He was part of that group, but I wasn't today.
Like like beyond Forgetting Sarah Marshall, I know we had encounters, but do you remember like what was, or you know, were you working with Jason when I was working on 5-Year Engagement?
No, I was gone pretty soon after Sarah Marshall. I switched companies.
I kind of remember. So, I mean, I remember. I remember the first time I saw you. I remember being kind of fascinated by you. I literally remember you came over. You put your hands on Jason Segel's shoulders, and you greeted me. I still remember this. You greeted me as if we knew each other, which maybe we did. But I remember having one of those nervous things.
Publicist.
Yeah.
I don't think we knew each other.
Yeah.
Good for me.
Yeah. But you were like very familiar with me in a way where that immediately sent me to the place of like. Am I being rude right now?
Disarming.
Yeah, but also, like, am I being rude? Like, do I not remember knowing this person?
That's how she got her way into my life too.
Yeah. No,
You're welcome.
That's how Pri got her way into my life.
Michigan.
Yeah, it's Michigan. Yeah. I mean, it was really fun back then. You know, like, I mean, it still is fun, but it's fun in a different way. It's a different.
To be able to do a press junket to fly to Hawaii to do a press junket
Yeah.
for a movie, first of all, to actually go to the location for the movie. I mean, it's sort of unheard of even at that time, but certainly not today.
Oh, it would never happen today, right?
The
I mean,
money
or it would
on
happen. It would
that?
happen, but for like Jumanji or something.
For
you know?
it would have
Yeah.
to be really big, and
Yeah.
like I don't remember what you're talking about, so I'll ask you about it later. But Jason wrote the movie in Florida or in
Hawaii,
Hawaii,
yeah.
right? So he was involved intimately with the whole process. So I don't think it usually works like that.
Yeah.
Right? Am
Oh,
I
yeah.
crazy?
No. Yeah, there was like a lot of like very organic things about it, and it was just of a time. It was like it was a bunch of of talented people being given a budget, for instance, for a movie that you would not get today. That movie cost, I guess, around, let's say, $35 million. Like, you don't get that much money for a comedy starring mostly unknowns. I was listening to a podcast. Jonah told me about this podcast that Bill Simmons hosts. It was a podcast about Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and they kept calling it a you don't like sports. You said that before, right?
Well, I don't have anything against it. In fact, I know very odd rules, but I just don't follow any of it.
Right. So they kept calling Forgetting Sarah Marshall a salary cap comedy.
I get it.
Yeah. Like, they were like, this is a movie that has like, Jason Segel, Kristen Bell, Mila Kunis,
Russell Brand.
Russell
The
Brand.
thing is, those guys weren't that big when that movie hit.
but
But
Paul
Judd.
Rudd.
Oh, Judd.
Judd, Paul Rudd. Bill Hader.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Jack McBrayer was
Yeah, when you add them all up, there are a lot. Yeah.
So he was making this really funny point that it was the salary cap comedy, like you have all these great players on their original contracts, so you can afford them.
Yeah.
And it was a time when, a lot of us had come up in like under the kind of wing of Judd Apatow in television, and we were, again, I keep saying it, but we were young in our careers, and Judd had made this jump to movies and kind of brought a bunch of people and systems with him, and then that just blew up, and it kind of blew up around the time of Sarah Marshall,
Yeah.
So there was this, it's really cool to be part of, a wave, a wave in comedy, a wave in filmmaking, it was really exciting. And then there were values around that filmmaking community. Like, we definitely had our many stock moves, and our many stock moves eventually stopped working, or people became familiar with them, but the values around that filmmaking style and community were really cool values. Like, they had to do with like, it was like stuff influenced by James L. Brooks or by Hal Ashby, emotional storytelling, and also just being like fresh and new and pushing things, and so we really got to do a lot of cool stuff. There was no sense of compromise.
It's wild though that you can tug on the heartstrings and push the boundaries at the same time. That's kind of a hard act.
Yeah, but it's also really effective, and that's and that's stuff that I'm more likely to find stuff funny now too. Also, that something, it either has to be really emotional or just like a guy falling into thimbles 19 times in a row.
You mentioned Judd before. I completely glossed over Undeclared. I never saw that show, but I know how what a big deal it was for people. Those two damn shows. The one before it and that one.
Freaks and Geeks.
That's it. Freaks and Geeks and Undeclared. Did you, having spent time with Judd, did you ever spend time with Garry Shandling?
A little bit.
Really?
A little
He's
bit,
somebody
but-
very, very special to me. I got
course,
to
yeah.
meet him a couple times, but I never got to know him. And ironically, about a week before he died, we sort of agreed, oh my gosh, Gary's the one I should reach out to help me tell this story. Yeah. And he decided to, check out. And he was like, fuck you, Jay. You can do it on your own. Okay. Thank you. But I've always felt like I had a piece of him, and I know anybody who ever was touched by him felt the same way. Do you have anything like that? Do you have any stories? Do you have any kind of anything?
I must tell you, I don't. I didn't know him that well.
That's all right.
I did,
When
but
did you know him?
Huh?
What did you know him through?
I knew him kind of through Judd. So
Okay.
So I would just meet him, especially like 10 years ago, there were a lot of like table reads, and we were kind of like this collective, and we would get together, to give each other notes on projects and
Support each other.
yeah, help each other with each other's projects, and the handful of times I met Garry Shandling was him showing up to go to a table reader to help Judd on projects.
It was always me too. He would show up at Saturday Night Live all the time.
Yeah.
That's cool.
so
I didn't know he did that with Judd stuff. That's cool.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Not being a superhero guy, like I said before, I don't really know too much about the Spider-Man movies, but I did look yours up, of course, and wasn't that one that people pretty much really, really liked?
Yeah.
Yeah, so congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that.
Yeah.
I know that's
was
another hard
cool.
hit
Yeah.
to make the comic fans happy.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
What was special about your Spider-Man versus the other Spider-Man?
The other Spider-Mans are very special.
Okay. Oh, I didn't mean to say that they weren't.
I mean, I know you're trying to like.
Rodney's so
You're
diplomatic.
trying to
No.
trash these other Spider-Man.
Here's
I'm
the
just,
thing,
I'm
I
just
haven't-
letting you know I'm not going there. I think they're wonderful.
It's so funny. Wouldn't that be funny? I'm trying to get him to fucking
Yeah.
badmouth. I don't even know the villain.
Well, we were animated. We were not about Peter Parker. We were about.
You were animated.
It was an animated film.
Oh, I
Do you
didn't
not know
realize that.
Yeah,
No,
animated
I don't
film.
know anything.
Animated film. You gotta watch it, man.
Really? Yeah. I don't know if I could. No offense. Really?
Yeah, you should watch it.
How good could the story be, even if you're doing it?
I know. You should watch it. You should watch it.
All right. Well, I gotta add
If-
that.
if-
And
even if-
Nathan for you.
Yeah, even if you don't like it, you should watch it, and because you might like it.
Well, I would watch it solely to support you for all the
You
reasons
should.
we
Yeah,
mentioned
it's
before.
animated. It's not about Peter Parker. It's about a character named Miles Morales, and
Oh,
it's
he's nice. I like him.
Yeah,
You've
and-
got me.
Yeah, and it's a really we were trying a lot of different stuff in there, and a bunch of it ended up working. Yeah.
Is it available on his streamers, or should I
On the
download it
streamers,
from
on Netflix?
Oh, it is.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh! So anybody can go download it right now.
Yeah, it's a
Go
lot
watch
better
it.
than Nathan for You. I mean, like if you're gonna prioritize, it's a lot better.
I should probably
than
watch
Nathan
your
for You.
movie over the Netflix or the
I'm just
YouTube
saying
show.
It's a lot better. I mean, I'm sure most people would agree with me on that one.
I know that you said Nathan for You would be on Comedy Central at one point, but probably YouTube these days would be the way to find
Oh
out. I'm
yeah.
guessing. How about you, sir? How can people keep up with you? Are you on social media or anything like that?
I'm on social media. They can follow me on Twitter. I'm currently in a not using it phase, but
little hiatus.
yeah, but they can still find me there. Yeah.
Are you on anything else? You on the Instagram or any of that stuff?
Twitter's the only one that I use that's like kind of like where that's outward facing, I guess.
Oh, I see. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So Twitter, and then you'll check back in at some point.
Yeah.
That's easy enough.
I still read the news and all kinds of unhealthy things on Twitter.
Oh, so you're on there, so somebody could find
Oh
you.
yeah, no, I'm around. I just don't say that much.
What about projects? Anything you've got coming up that people can tune into and watch on the streamers or theaters?
Too early to
TVs.
say.
Okay.
But I'm working on some very exciting things.
Cool.
I was kidding.
But if they're exciting to you,
Yeah.
that's
I'm
really
working on
saying
something. I'm like
This guy's hard to impress.
Yeah, no. I'm in the early stages on some stuff.
I'm getting the elusive vibe. Aloof.
Aloof.
That's
You know what? I made the mistake to me early in my career of like talking about stuff. Like I would talk about stuff that was going on. I always was convinced that things I was working on where people seemed really excited were definitely going to happen. And what I learned is that almost none of them happened.
Right.
Almost none of them happened. So now I try not to talk about things unless they're happening.
Right.
It's like signed, sealed, and delivered before it even comes out of your mouth these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've made that mistake so many times.
Yeah.
And it really sucks when it ends up turning into overpromising and under-delivering. That's what it looks like. Even though no one knows, like, oh, there's 15 things that fell apart and none of them were us. On whatever it happens to be.
Yeah, and if I say it publicly, then a couple times I talked about stuff and like someone wrote some random article.
Yeah, it's in Deadline if you make a comment.
It's not on Deadline, but it's like But,
no, actually, it's on Deadline.
Yeah.
It's on Deadline. We checked. You're amazing, man. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for dealing with. I got totally frazzled. I don't feel like you got the best me today, but I really appreciate the you that showed up.
I think I got a great. I think I got a great you, and it's a really cool story. I honestly appreciate you telling me that story. That's a really really cool story.
Well, we're trying to make an ending for it, trying to make this a success so that somebody makes a scripted movie out of it at some point. So, hey, Now you know it.
Yeah.
Feel free.
Mrs. Ryan, what do we have tomorrow?
What's tomorrow? Wednesday.
I have a Gary
Danny.
Cannon.
Gary Cannon.
Okay. Is it a comedian?
Yeah.
All right.
Richard.
Oh, wait. This is the guy that's, he was a warm-up guy for Conan and stuff. Yeah, I think we know him. He's friends with Pardo. Jimmy
Correct.
Pardo. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right, so Gary Cannon tomorrow. And then Thursday, Carson Chan. Beautiful. The watch guy. Porsches and watches.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, Mrs.
Can't
Ryan, I
wait.
love you so very much. We've gone on and on and on. We love you so very much, Rodney.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
very
Love you,
much.
dude. So good to see you.
We love everybody at home. Please love one another, and we'll see you tomorrow.